This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll begin with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody to the first meeting of the Marion County Commission in 2023, January 3rd. We begin with public forum. There's no one in the room, and it doesn't look like there's anyone online. So I'm guessing there's no comments for public forum. Next item is agenda approval. We have a revised agenda. In light of council leaving early, we've moved the executive sessions up front. So we will start with a couple of executive sessions and then policy discussion, purchasing policy discussion. 1:15, get back to administrative business. 1:30, road and bridge. 1:45, emergency management. At 2:30, Representative Scott Hill is going to be joining us. We just had a call this morning that he'd be available. So we appreciate him taking time to meet with the commission. That'll be at 2 o'clock. And then once that's completed, we'll wrap up with the county clerk executive session on personnel performance. Any other changes to the agenda?
Whole agenda.
The whole agenda got turned upside down.
Good job.
But it's going to work. It's going to work out just fine. If not, we'll consider the agenda approved.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with the Rural Opportunity Zone resolution.
Oh, okay. But you didn't want to do the executive session?
Either, Brad, did you want to be here for the Rural Opportunity Zone?
Either way, it's fine. Whatever.
Okay, I mean, we could do, I was just confused. I thought that was
Sorry.
during administrative.
Sorry.
So, yeah, we can do that.
I thought Brad might want to be here for that.
Okay.
So Commission has a copy of the resolution for the Rural Opportunity Zone Student Loan Repayment Program. Is there any discussion on the resolution or the program? If not, would there be a motion to approve the resolution?
This would be 2023-01.
01.
Yeah. I'll make it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Dahlke. Is there second by Commissioner Becker? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay.
All right. Now let's move to executive session.
Just need all of your
Signatures,
signatures on that, please.
Good. How long, Brad?
10 minutes.
Okay. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad and Tina, for 10 minutes. That'll be from 12:33 to 12:43. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 12:43.
My favorite lady was out here today.
Online.
Yeah, she's online.
Oh.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are out of executive
Even has her
session.
name in there. She's not the South
Yeah.
Building enough.
Go ahead, waiting to get the commission's attention. We're out of executive session, no decisions made. We did have one person join us while we were in executive session. We asked Sharon Olmsted, Planning and Zoning to join us. So there was one additional person that wasn't in the original motion.
And she did so telephonically.
By telephone, yes, thank you, Brad. With that, we move that we go recess an executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad and Tina. This time no one else will be joining us for 5 minutes from 12:46 to 12:51.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We'll be back at 12:51.
See, Randy?
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. We have one more executive session. I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss preliminary acquisition of real estate pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 6, preliminary discussion of acquisition of real estate with Commissioner Brad and Tina for 10 minutes. Be from 12:52 to 1:02. Second by Commissioner Gehring. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. Back up 102.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions made. Next item is the purchasing policy discussion.
I asked Tina to put that on.
Thank you.
You know, in light of just the cost of everything anymore, inflation, I didn't know if maybe we should look at our policy and see if we should raise the minimum. You know, most of our department heads are pretty good about handling their budget. You know, when you can't even come up with when you have to bid one computer or something, it just doesn't seem very efficient. And I don't see costs coming down anytime soon. I don't know what that figure would be, and just thought I'd bring it up for discussion, see what the commission thought we might do, or just leave it alone.
Very good point. Current limit is 1,000.
It is.
1,000.
And can I just say that we have like 3 different purchasing policies?
Oh.
Okay, so we currently have our regular procurement policy.
Okay.
And then we have some that we've adopted specifically for certain grant programs. One of the things that's been on my list and has been recommended by Swindle Jansen Hop Deloitte Group,
Yeah.
is to have an updated combined purchasing policy.
Okay.
They provided an example of one that would meet federal requirements, and it's from Brown County. And so it's pretty good. Their small purchases level is 5,000 or less. So I'm glad to give you all a copy of this. Maybe you could look it over, see if this is something. I'll give it to you too. But it does need to be updated regardless of what you set your limit at.
Yep. Very
So
good.
we have one
I
thing that
appreciate
governs
that.
I
everything,
don't think
so.
there's any big cities there. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be 5,000, but
That's a number that we can work on, but the framework of the purchasing policy,
Right.
it sounds like it's something we need to be doing.
We do need to, it's been on my list for a while. I've been trying to put all these into a spreadsheet to say, here's what this one says, here's what this one says, here's what this one says. So that we can verify that we don't miss anything that we need. But,
Brad?
thought it'd be appropriate time to bring it up, start another year.
Well, mine's in the other room.
Just smaller than us.
Smaller.
At least that's what the
Oh, yeah, they are.
thing says.
It don't do no good anyway, because the last department head we had bought $1,000 3 times, so, you know.
There's always a
He's
loophole.
gone
Bert.
now, but that's a good thing.
Well, that needs to be tied up in
Jonah,
new
what
policy, how that works.
Hiawatha.
No single
Go back
big
to
bids
casino.
when you're lumping things together.
That's the largest city.
Yeah, well, that's where the casinos at.
Okay, what type of framework or questions do you
They got
need?
some tax though.
well, I guess it would be good to know what the board wants to do as far as what the departments have authority to purchase, what spending limit they
Okay.
have authority to purchase on their own.
Mhm.
We sat here and listened to every department come in for a computer every year.
Yeah.
I mean, many years sat and listened to this.
Well, there's a big swing between those computers the other day too. I mean, I understand there's processors and there's speed and there's certain things,
It was
but one was
three
one
years
was
ago, dude.
estimated at 2,500, and the other one's coming at 13. So where do you set that limit?
Well, what I'm getting at though is not every computer's not good enough for everybody. I mean, one good fast speed computer's not good enough for everybody.
Now, there is a variance between departments, obviously.
Right, so
storage.
if you get the best one, it's gonna be good enough for everyone, but there's different different offices that have different functions. If you need mapping capabilities, like if you need
You need bigger processors.
You need more storage, you need
Appraiser,
more.
planning and zoning.
But what I'm getting at, even if you have two, let's say you have a higher and a lower, why don't we have a bid taken at the first of the year to supply us with that model all year long?
Because that model is
It wouldn't give you a
discontinued
bid.
a week later.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
they go quite a
Well, your
style.
computer is pretty well shot in 6 months. I mean, you bought the best, greatest thing. 6 months later, you're behind.
I think that's pretty accurate. The technology moves so
Oh,
quickly.
I
And
understand
then
that.
plus the supply chain issues with computers have been pretty challenging over the last couple of years. You know, there's certain things you can get, certain things you can't, so.
So I guess what I'm hearing is the fleet, I call it fleet policy, you're trying to buy 10 or 20 of the same thing isn't really something that'll be,
It may not be
Best
feasible.
choice.
If we had in-house IT or some sort of a central purchasing or something that somebody could oversee and then get something that works for all departments. But the problem is, we don't really have that. And then, say they don't need it until later, well, it could be already
Yeah. You can't
somewhat
buy that computer
outdated by
now,
the time you
know.
need it.
Every
So.
department's unique in the applications they run, it's
Mhm.
just, everybody's different.
And we've talked before about it'd be nice to get everybody a more similar kind of
Yeah.
platform,
Mhm.
But I think just, coming up with a higher amount than what we've been,
Clean up the policy too.
Yeah.
kind of makes
Policy.
sense in the environment that we're living in nowadays.
I just throw it out there, 2,500. 2,500 on that new policy that to be written, and let's
I
run
don't-
with it and see how
I'm
much.
not, I don't say what that figure should be, other than it probably needs to be more than 1,000. You can't buy any computer for 1,000.
I mean, new computer's 2,500 sometimes.
Yeah. Like I
Right.
said, depending on what you're running on it.
so am I hearing a consensus?
I think
to-
2,500 would be a minimum.
Okay.
Maybe we ought to be three,
Go to 3.
about 3,000.
Even with that 5,000, you know, they
Yeah.
must have done it for a reason. I mean, you got the department heads and you gave them.
I'd second the
No
motion to go to
responsibility.
2,500.
Okay, I'm assuming that was Commissioner Becker's motion, the 2,500, or was it?
Oh, my motion, that was his
It was
motion,
Gary's
I was
motion.
talking about 3,000.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not gonna stand anybody's way.
Okay.
We've got a motion and a
Okay,
second.
motion by Commissioner Garing for 2,500, second by Commissioner Dalkey. Okay, I think a higher number, but again, it can always be adjusted at any time.
Or we can,
My main thing is we need to clean up the policy.
The wording.
I want to include that in my motion. The policy's cleaned up with the $2,500 limit.
I think
You still
Tina-
second?
Tina
Still second,
already,
yes.
Tina already had that in your motion, even though you didn't say that.
All right.
I didn't even know there was a motion, so I'm okay.
I
with
didn't
that.
either, but yes, the motion is to clean up the purchasing policy and the new limit at 2,500.
Is there any other things in that policy that you want
Sure.
to throw in there that needs to be there, Tina, so we could look at it?
Well, what I'll do is I'll probably send out a copy of all our current policies plus this policy, so you can look at it. If I have time, I'll try to maybe summarize, make sure this has everything that we currently have.
And what I'm taking the motion to be is to have staff draft that policy, then bring it back for approval. Is that correct?
See what
So
total.
if the policy comes back and the commission decides at that time to go with a different number, they can
Okay.
certainly do that.
Yeah. I just getting this.
Get the ball
moving.
rolling.
Get it moving with the 2,500 queued in.
Yep.
Or make it revisable every year.
Put it in pencil.
At any time. Yeah. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We have another thing on Brad's list. And Tina's.
Okay. I'll grab these copies, I'll scan these in.
We can't do
Get
that
sent out.
government like we do at our business.
Did you have
Pencil?
anything else that you needed?
Because it could change in about 5 minutes.
Okay. This will be your chance to squeeze something in. You're fine? Okay. All right, so with that, we'll move back to administrative business.
Okay.
Thank you, Brad, appreciate it. We got some things added to your list today, so it was a good.
As we usually do.
In your packet, you have the, I believe, the minutes of December 30th.
Okay, commission's had a chance to review minutes of December 30th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Garing, second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
And I forgot to get your signature last week, or when we did the last minutes, so you've got a couple here to
All
sign.
right, thank you.
Salary sheets and change orders.
And I do not have any salary sheets or change orders
Oh.
today.
Well, they're coming. Sooner or later, they are coming. There's gonna be a stack.
That said there was a.
Just
Thank
did.
you. All right, we have minutes signed.
Thank you. At the last meeting, I had the list of encumbrances for you to approve. I did have 2 more that were submitted timely, but we didn't actually get them on the sheet.
Okay.
And that would increase the amount, so I didn't wanna, make any change on that without your approval. And so those are on the table there for you, the new list. We do have 22,566.52 for the sheriff's office, and then the annex remodel for moving the walls and everything. You had approved an amount not to exceed $8,500 for the county attorney to go in there. So those 2 things, well, the $8,500's already been approved, so we do need to encumber that. And then the sheriff, I did check his budget, he does have funds available. That would be to purchase new laptops, and then mounting hardware for the vehicles for those laptops, and that's for the deputies, some office chairs, and then 2 kennels for canine for the vehicle.
I'd make a motion to add on to our encumbrances of the 22,566.52 and the $8,500 for a total of $31,066.52.
Okay, so we have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Dalkey, second by Commissioner Garing. Any other discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, thank you. We may still, as we get bills, we do charge some back automatically if they were purchased within the previous year. We're required to do that. So just letting you know that there'll be some more added. And then we do not know at this point, you've approved some rock hauling contracts for road and bridge, and I don't have the information yet on how complete those are, so there's some potential encumbrance for some of those contracts that are not finished. So just kind of keeping you in the loop on that.
Very good.
Okay. At the last meeting, you said that you wanted to get bids for some generators. I did a basic bid request, but it doesn't,
I was gonna put some stuff in there for her this weekend, and I totally dropped the ball.
That's all right. It basically says the contractor should provide the recommendations on the size and to support the building operations. So if those are very general specs. We have done it that way before for certain things. Didn't know how
Yeah, you're not
comfortable
gonna get apples to apples on that.
you are with that, without providing some general
Need
specifications.
some amps or something?
Well, you need KW specifications.
I mean, what the electricity load demand is?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to revisit this?
I can sure try if I don't muddy the waters up too bad.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
need it to be general to where, it's not only specific to a certain brand or specific
Right.
company that could do the work, so.
And there's a few other key details that I think are important, but I'll help.
Okay, so commission consensus to postpone another
Is
week.
this a generator for the ambulance?
No, these are the ones you have.
EMS stations
Oh,
and double throws for the non-owned facilities, which also has a
That's
different.
another change.
There's another kink in that.
another
Because
component to that, yeah.
the fire department bought a generator to put on the building, and so maybe we ought to look at helping them
In
install
Tampa.
that one.
Yeah. City of Tampa Fire District have already purchased it. I should have known because it was
standby.
sitting right there a month or so ago. But it has not been installed, they do not have. But if we're gonna do that, if the bid could include, the generator's right there. If the county'd be willing to help do that and do the transfer switch. The other location,
Should request a special bid for Tampa for the installation.
well, talk to us.
And all of them could be broke out.
I
into
believe
individual
I
bids.
asked in here.
Nobody would have to bid all of it.
Packages.
They could bid
Okay.
one each.
Per place.
Or, I don't know, make a, whatever those boxes throws cost for the others, at least throw that much cash in towards installation up there and let them spend it however
Yep.
they can use it.
Yep.
And,
But you gotta pay somebody to generate
Well, that's what I'm saying.
to the box then.
however the fire board would like to spend that money, why, they
Are
can
we
use it
still
towards that.
talking about looking at hooking up this generator to the annex?
It's something that we should,
I mean, should that be part of this whole deal?
I think we should get some numbers in.
It was not in the motion last week,
Okay.
but it was an issue we discussed, but it was not in the motion.
I mean, it just seems like we've got it there.
I fully agree.
And all this time, I didn't wire the jail. I mean, we've been in to add some things and do some
Right.
stuff, but I wasn't in on that. That was contractor out of.
Jail's got its own back there.
Its own generator. This whole time, I thought the jail was tied on with here.
No, no, no,
The
no.
old
Oh.
jail was.
No.
So the
No.
old jail was the only thing tied on with here.
The old jail, yes, the old jail, yes.
So there's excess capacity with
Yeah.
this generator.
Yeah, this generator
Yes.
got,
Tons.
I guess I'd come back to Commissioner Becker's point about at least finding out. So was that the by the bid process, is that how we would do that? Or how would you recommend going about that?
Well,
I'll probably make
is there
Another-
is there anything that shows where that ends out here? Did they say they had actually?
On his head.
We'd have to trace it. We have to stake
Okay,
it.
whatever
trace
that
it.
process
Yeah.
is.
Come right out of, you gotta come out of the building, it comes right out the side of the wall there, and you have to shoot some sort of tape.
Does it go through that pit?
Huh?
Does it go through that pit?
Uh,
That pit right there?
no, it's a separate deal.
Right.
It's
Does
separate.
it go through it?
I'm gonna have to.
Or does it go below it?
I think it's separate all the way, clear from the generator all the way. It had its own leads through there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So probably something just wanted to get by the hour and estimate how many hours it take to do it.
If I still was working, I could tell you pretty quick like, but maybe I can get somebody to help a little bit.
Know
So it
somebody,
seems
know
like
somebody.
it'd be good to tie the whole thing together.
Well, I'm just asking,
Well,
how do
inside this
how do we
block.
go about getting that number?
Yeah, we'd do a separate bid for that one, because it's
Yeah.
not providing a generator. It's not-
Yeah, I'd probably take a separate bid, because that's not a generator.
We just need bids for the two.
It'd just be
Marion and Harrisburg.
basically be an electrical bid, I guess, right?
We can make them all separate.
There you go. It's still a package, but it's got several components.
Right, yeah, it does.
Go ahead, let's do that with the motion. I'd ask for a motion to get a bid on connecting the annex to the courthouse generator. Is that? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Becker, discussion. Again, I would like to package these as the one, but have all the different components. That way, the electricians are already looking at,
Some
contractors are looking at several of them, but they're all kind of.
Sometimes people are busy right now too, so it's not out of the norm that you get a couple different to get it all done.
And let me describe it so you guys understand what's gonna happen here. We've got a 4-inch plastic tube from the conduit all the way from the generator, was clear into the old jail, but when they cut it off and capped it, and didn't have one of those locating balls that
yeah.
you're talking about, which would have saved us a whole lot of.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, you're supposed to tie a cable to the pipe, and then you put a brick over the top, and you bury that, and then so that
Yeah,
Metal.
but we didn't have that,
marker.
but what I'm saying, it's gotta be 50, 60, 70 feet. It's just on the other side of the blacktop driveway, so that,
So it's just in the grass.
just in that area right
It
there.
isn't even in the gravel.
No.
It didn't go
no,
across that
no,
driveway.
No, we cut it and stopped right there.
It's
So-
at the edge of the building, probably.
Well, yeah, but the edge of this curb line, more or less, so that if anything went back there, we could put it
How do you
back.
find it?
Well,
Send a tracer in it.
yeah.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
there you go.
And if we
And
find that,
And
and
Widget, the motion was Commissioner Garing, second was Commissioner Becker. I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
John knows
We'll
how to
get-
shovel.
We'll get the.
Oh, God, with a shovel.
yeah.
That don't fit my hands, boss.
I mean, the
I
only
said you
thing,
know
the other
about
thing
it,
I had
so-
on here was for future consideration or discussion, whether anyone has any planning commission member appointments.
Okay. Ken Becker, have you talked to your candidate?
Yes, Chase Gann has agreed to accept another term.
Okay. And I've talked to Tammy Ware, she's willing to accept another term. Randy, have you talked to Mel? Or your open seat?
No, I haven't.
And Dave, have you talked to Brad?
No.
Okay. Well, we got two to go.
Do you wanna go ahead and take action on the two that you have?
I would move to accept, how do we put that, to appoint Jason Gann to another term, and do they need to be separate?
I don't think you have to do them separate.
Okay, Jason Gann to, it's a 3-year term, right? And from District 1, and Tammy Ware from District 2 for a 3-year term.
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Garing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. All right, homework assignment, have those other two next week.
Oh, Brad will want to do it again. I think.
Well, yeah,
Anything else?
No, I didn't have anything else
play out the
on
reservoir.
Oh.
my list. Until the executive from later.
Okay, very good. I see Bryce is here. Come on in.
He's sleeping.
Well, he got changed, and I tried to text, but I hit the phone call instead, and sorry.
Yeah, couldn't find out my phone was on silent, so.
Get some crap out of the way.
How's everybody temperature wise? Do I need to shut the window or everybody okay?
I'm okay now.
Just right.
First thing I had was area fuel bids. We had one response. Yeah. So I'd like to request approval for F's. So,
By default. Not by default. They could have not turned one in.
yeah,
Then
that's
what do you
true,
do?
that's true.
Then what do you
So,
do?
Well, I'll let everybody get that, but I will go ahead and make the motion to accept EPS at $23,755.20 total. Area 1 at $6,228.60. Area 2 at $8,870.55, and then Area 3 at $8,656.05 with that grand total I said, so.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Dalkey. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Hi.
And
Welcome
Jack.
up to a high-class meeting.
Yeah, my golly.
Oh,
So everybody looks at the tie. It's like, what about all this?
Well, yeah. Those three, that's the front-end loader forklift, or front-end loader backhoe bids that we had come in this morning, so if you guys want to open them and look at
I
it.
give it to Tina.
Oh.
I guess I could delegate to Joe.
She has the official cutter over.
It doesn't have this leave eyes on it.
no, it doesn't. I didn't bring that one in.
It's not official if it doesn't have the
Well,
eyes
that
on it.
one's.
Ooh, that one's
Is this
a little
just
scary,
backhoes? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's
That's
looking into
good.
dirt.
Carrying box.
Front-end loader backhoe.
Don't worry, still got salami with it and everything too.
Oh,
Did you put out maximum horsepower or anything special?
All kinds of stuff on there. Actually, it wasn't maximum horsepower, it was minimum.
Yeah.
You read it, though.
okay.
I don't trust myself.
So this is to purchase one, not to
Yes.
sell one.
Yes,
All, well, you got 2 already or 3?
there's 3. Should be Cat, John Deere, and
Case.
Case,
Oh,
which is
Beggars
actually
can't be choosers when you're home.
No. How many do you have now?
just one. We sold that in the hall.
You sold the 4?
In the hall.
I'm trying to find a question.
What different?
Good pictures, huh?
75.
Sorry, that's why I don't read it. Don't laugh.
Well, just the smirk on her face.
That wasn't smart.
Well,
You did though.
That's why it's always nice when you send out your own standardized bid form, then you know, okay, you're looking at this one.
Yeah.
At least they fill in the dollar amount, the big dollar amount in
Yeah.
the same place. They might get a bunch of other stuff jumbled.
Well, setting up these specs is over a full page of
Yeah.
all the stuff we're looking for.
And then you put out that standardized bid sheet. Because.
You've got Case, Cat, what?
John Deere.
John Deere.
This is backhoe uses.
This is gonna be interesting because last time I did this with Case, Cat, and John Deere, Case was the highest. That was for the city of Peabody years ago.
What'd that backhoe bring that was on Purple Wave?
17.5.
That was a bargain, wasn't
Okay, the bids have been open, I'll let
it?
Tina read them.
Anything that runs for that.
Okay, from Foley Equipment, this is for a Caterpillar. There's a lot of numbers on here.
So, middle of the page on
The
the right.
total, right, I know that cost, I was just trying to look for the models. I don't know
I
if
think
that
it's a
means
four,
anything
it's
for
either,
you, but.
it's a
430.
420, it's 420. I think.
It,
420.
yeah, Cat 420 backhoe loader.
Yes.
Okay, and the amount is $163,122.17. The next one is from Murphy Tractor, and this is for a John Deere
Is it-
320P.
Yeah.
And the amount is $139,895.09.
That 320 is just the new number for the one, the 310 that we had before. They just changed numbers.
Gotta do it.
And then the next one is from
Is it VLP?
J.G. Milanovich.
Yeah, it's
VLP?
Yes, VLP Equipment Share is what it's actually.
And this is a Case 580 SNWT backhoe loader. And the amount is $141,467, includes freight. Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
With the amount of specs and everything else that we had in there, I'll go back and look at it and make
Okay.
sure that I check them all out and everything, and I'll be back with you next week to.
Give a recommendation next week.
I don't know if any of these others would have freight on them.
Yes. we should go.
I don't know, I probably have my favorite here already of what I see, just probably a very low price. But I do have two grandsons that works for Victor L. Phillips Equipment Share, so I think I probably should stay out of this and not vote. I don't know.
Can we get the?
Just to be.
Don't you get a family
I was
discount?
gonna say family discount, that's what I was
Is your
thinking.
grandson giving you kickback?
I doubt that very seriously.
Okay.
But I, like I said, I think
Okay,
I
well,
need
I
to.
appreciate you
We
discussing.
can make the vote without,
Yeah.
but if it was needed, the vote was needed, it wouldn't qualify as, but since it.
I believe they call that, what, ethics violation or something?
How long do we have to wait on it?
That was another, we asked him for availability. When I talked to him before, I talked to specifically the John Deere man, and he said that they had a bunch coming in January. If what we specified would meet one of them, it would be possibly by next month. Cat didn't know for sure, and I hadn't heard anything from Victor L. Phillips. So the front end loader backhoes are a lot easier to get at than some of the other more high-end items, because these are a lot more useful for a lot of.
What, do we just have one other one?
We just have the old John Deere now. It's an 08, that's what it is.
Is
So,
that what it is, no 8?
yeah. And it's really starting to go through some issues.
It's crazy.
Hoses and stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
I bought it.
Yeah.
It don't seem like it should be.
Yeah.
The same
That was
with some of
about
my trucks. my
Maybe
pickups.
the one we sold, wasn't it?
No, it was a 02 or 03, so.
First brand new pickup I ever bought was an 07. That thing's old now.
So,
All right, so we'll
okay.
look forward to the summary next
Yep,
week with
yeah, okay.
availability
I would-
and specs on it.
I would look very see what the difference is between the John Deere and that Case.
Yeah,
See.
well, like I said, it's very, very tough to try to specify these things because they all show different stuff.
Mhm.
The different horsepowers, the breakout force, all that other stuff, so, okay. I got two other things. Vance Brothers has been in contact with me, and they were talking about possibly start hauling in February. We've done it in the past. They were gonna ask if we could pay for stored materials once they were delivered to the site. Like I said, as long as they're delivered to the site, KDOT does it all the time, and that way they don't have to cover them for months and months and months, so.
What's this about?
The material for
They're delivered on site to their having the material delivered, and then we could pay for just the material.
the microsurface.
So-
Yeah, so they can use it next summer or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it just helps them, because if they have to borrow the money to cover all that material, it just passes on.
Well, it helps us because the
Costs us
material's
more
here.
money.
Yes, and that's the whole thing, is that KDOT does the same thing once the invoices are.
Tina, yeah.
Well, comment is we're gonna need some sort
Yes,
of,
contract or all that other stuff.
approval from the board, you know, so that we can do a sales tax exemption. We have to have
Yes.
an approval date and then
Yes.
approximate
We,
contract amount.
yeah, we talked about that this morning as well, for both sides, to make sure that we get that,
Okay.
so.
So is this something you'd bring back next
Yes.
week, or is it
Yeah.
something you need?
No. Because he said they weren't gonna start till probably, or start bringing material until February.
Okay.
So, just that.
Do you know if it's gonna be hard to ask them that, but do they have a markup at all on that material?
Honestly, I don't know. I think most of it is just the fact is in getting the material. The material itself really isn't that expensive. It's just the haul to get it.
Well, I just been burned on this a couple times, and it's almost like it's best if you have a retainage of some sort.
We did that on our last contract as well, so.
And that way,
Keep 10% back or something.
yeah, something back just to, it said that, hey, you know, you wanna come collect it, come get to work.
Yeah.
We also need a bond
Yep,
because
yep.
it'll be over 150,000.
Sure.
That'd sure be nice to have the material in place.
Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah,
looking
then we
at,
know
so.
we're gonna get it.
So,
Where are you gonna store it at, South Shore?
no, actually, we're gonna have probably 4 locations. Since we're doing Remington, we're going to the Pilsen shop. And down south, we'll probably go to the Peabody shop, or somewhere around there, we may look at the storage space on Nighthawk and 140th as well. So the closer we get to material, the less expensive and faster it goes. So
Very good.
So I like 143 spot.
it's not a real big spot, but, you know, if they can, we've still got some other chip seal material in there too, but anyway, so bringing back the issue of, don't know whether you guys have really thought about any more of the chip sealing, microsurfacing, whatever else. Really need to get somewhat of a definite answer for that so that we can get material ordered and delivered. And so the other thing would be the chip seal material obviously being brought in as well. So I guess looking for guidance, do you want me to come back with my recommendations, see what you think? Stuff to that effect. The other thing is, you know, not only how many miles we will do a chip seal as compared to microsurfacing, but do you want me to contract out chip sealing as well?
And what is that contract per mile roughly?
Don't know. That's why I'm asking, is because.
Bring us back your recommendations.
Okay, and I can hopefully follow up with them, because the other thing is if we contract out that stuff, and we talked about it last week of sticking with the lightweight material. So it brings up the question, would you want the contractor to buy and bring that in, or would you want us to furnish that, and then they just do the labor? So I guess I can talk to them and see what,
Get more information.
Well,
Isn't supply and demand with that tough sometimes?
well, not this time of year, because they have told me that they have the material. That's not a problem. Now, sometime, where you'll run into supply and demand is late spring, early summer, when everybody else has their delivered.
We've had it before,
Yep.
where that didn't come in.
the,
Yeah.
just thinking out loud here, I think getting the material for ourselves might be the better route. Because right now, finding a contractor to get started you might wind up having to do it yourself. And if we had material already here,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
still swing either way.
Yeah, and I don't know what the plan is for the contractors, whether they're filling up or whatever else. Typically, chip sealing, they can do an awful lot in a year because it typically doesn't take a long time. So, but anyway, I'll try to get some stuff together. Steve and I talked this morning about what our recommendations would be, so we can go from there.
And as part of that, some of the cost estimates are, so we can compare some
Yeah.
of the different
Yeah.
approaches.
At least an approximate cost of
Yeah,
it, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. And of course, a lot of that comes into play, how many miles we do. The stripers have already contacted us, and they're definitely running into the situation of getting paint. They're working on a deal now where they can basically pre-order all their paint and basically have it available. So with that, we need to determine how many miles we're gonna do. And then secondly, do we wanna go back and put the 6-inch white stripe instead of the 4-inch? Not much difference in labor, but definitely a difference in price for materials, because it does take more material. So again, don't need any definite there, but something to think about if you want to continue with the 6-inch edge.
Could we ask Mr. Swear's opinion on that?
What's on the size of the stripe?
Yeah, the 6-inch white line compared to the 4-inch. KDOT's done a bunch of studies, and they have less runoffs with the 6-inch white stripe compared to the 4-inch.
Well, in my opinion, the white stripe doesn't change them looking at their cell phones or their speed.
True.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a
So,
difference.
I'd say if they're gonna run off with a 6-inch, they're gonna run off with a 4-inch
Well,
or
and-
3-inch or
Yeah,
5-inch.
yeah, and that's right, you know, but again, just going by, because like I said, KDOT's been looking at it for over 10 years, and for some reason, whatever that 6-inch line is there for, but.
I guess again, I'd ask for a cost comparison
Okay.
between the two.
Okay.
And then we can look at, like Commissioner Vector says, the cost benefit analysis.
I think what's changed on the line the most in the last 10 years is probably the rubber strips that they put on the white line on most of these roads in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
That's probably what's woke them up more than anything.
yeah.
Those are going away though, right? Or is it more surface?
The
mounts?
more ones on center line are going away. And that is simply because what they found out was except on like Highway 50 and your high head-on collision routes, what they found out was putting rumble strips on there actually degrades from the striping, especially during bad weather, because water sits in there and everything else. Then it also cracks and breaks up, and they're losing their striping. So they're thinking about getting rid of that, but the edge lines are still good, but I don't really think we probably would have any roads to really warrant that. I don't think our runoff leaving the roadways is an issue. Most places, I think we have more problems with animals, deer, stuff like that causes runoffs more than anything, especially south of town here, so. But if that's something you want to do, we sure can. The other problem is we don't really have an awful lot of shoulder to try to put things on, so, you know, so,
I guess.
yeah.
With this price, you're looking at two different things here, the microservicing and the chip seal and stuff. But at this same time, I think the commission needs to give you some direction to some of the roads that will not receive anything done, that whatever the roads that may be. Let's figure in some blade patching for them holes.
Fine.
We're sitting there, this last summer, we sat for months, and that holes just continue, and you was busy, Bryce. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, we've got to look at that too a little more than what we did last year.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying.
Well, and I agree with you, because that's what I'm trying to get at, is if we could just get far enough ahead to get somewhat caught up on these roads a little bit to where we don't face that. But yeah, I know, we've got, that's what we're looking at is, I talked to Steve, on most of the roads, if we do work on, we're gonna have to blade patch ahead of time just to make sure we get most of that taken care of.
Yes.
But then do we go back to the
Then
chip
you've
seal
got-
or the microsurfacing, so. I'd love to say we could go back and overlay them all, but.
Does the blade patch hold up pretty good underneath that chip seal?
Blade patch holds up pretty well, because we typically do it with good material, warm time of the year.
I know sometimes the blade patch, you know, it gets snowed on, it doesn't have a chip seal, and then you'll knock it
Yeah.
off.
We do face that. A lot of it is just what we have underneath there to work with as well.
Start with, yeah.
Yeah, I know in Quail Creek from 290th north to Ramona, we've had problems with that in the past, and we even went in there and we blade patched over 2 straight miles, and it's falling apart as well. So we try, and in those areas that we find that, we tend to add a little bit more blade patching, you know, so it may be a good inch or 2 that goes back on there, and so it eats up plenty as well.
Is there another material that you can spray over the top, an adhesive?
Not on top really,
I guess,
because
okay.
no matter what happens on top, your bond is basically on the bottom,
Yeah.
you know. But it's just like anything else, it matters what goes over top of it traffic wise,
Okay.
you know, abrasive tires or whatever else, so.
When you blade patch, like what you just said, Quail Creek north of 290th, what's the cost of that versus tearing down, going back and getting a base first? Because that road has a lot of issues with the base.
Yeah.
And the north is worse than the south part of it.
Well, it's just like we did last year when we did that soil cam process down here on 140th. That's an option, but that's just one more thing for us to do, because if we turn around and have a contractor do it, the price is gonna go way back up. Doing a cementitious upgrade, we're probably looking at $125,000 a mile. And then nothing on top, you'd have to do something on top of there. So, once you start going into that base, that's what the cost is, and that's what we're talking about, you know, whether to chip seal or microsurface the road. Because if we get a good blade patch and then go back with microsurfacing, I would think we would gain more that way than we would with the chip seal. But again, that road is always in that point of where it's traffic wise and everything else, you know, it's always gonna be one of the lower ones simply because of all the higher traffic ones and stuff like that we have, so. But no, we're trying to do it, I say as little as possible on blade patching, but we also have to take care of things too.
Well, you gotta level it out before
Yeah.
putting anything on top of it.
Yes.
I know it's takes time, but not sure if Finney Road was a candidate to be rebuilt from rock base up, that would be a good road to do it on I mean, because I don't know what the high number of traffic going north and south into Ramona is, and it would be the only rock road for.
There's a lot of trucks on it.
There's still a lot of trucks on it, but I mean, I just compare it to what we did at the Almy Road, going west out of town, going north.
Why is
We built those rock base roads up and reshaped them, tear them out, rebase them, and it just puts a good base in. Matter of fact, the Tampa Road that you got 6 inches on concrete is done by the county too.
Why was Quail Creek the solid surface road? I mean, why not the east-west road that goes out to 77?
Don't know.
What made that
It
determination?
probably, let's see.
Before me.
Oh, okay. Because it's a pretty decent road headed out to the east.
Yeah, it's before me.
It would be a little bit shorter than what it would be going south. But I would assume that they probably kept that because of 330th and 340th as well, coming off of that. To go either way. And then if you went straight east and kept that pavement, then you wouldn't put as much emphasis, but then it'd only be the 2 miles from 340th to 360th at Ramona that really wouldn't be as critical. I can only speculate, I don't know either.
I don't know, I just,
Yeah.
all right, sometimes I think about why don't we try to get out to the highway with some of these things, and then that way
You know,
then it's a
and-
state problem.
Yeah, and if you look at the same thing, you know, they could go north, then once they get a mile north or Dickinson County, and, you know, but that doesn't help very much.
As the constituents like to remind me, they would have to come from.
Yes, yes.
They need a paved route to the county seat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that might have been some of it too.
There's no,
Well,
that's the only
Yeah.
paved route to the
That,
county seat.
that's good too.
Yeah.
It means that they're willing to come here and spend their money rather than.
All right, we'll look forward to that information next week.
That's all I had, unless you guys had any
Appreciate it.
I'd
questions.
like to, I'd like for us to have more of our county emphasis on those kind of roads. And if we need to rebuild 4 or 5 miles of dirt road, just hire somebody to do it.
Oh, which I have talked with 4 or 5 different people, not a lot of interest. They're pretty much full until at least summer, into early fall. A couple of them I talked to said they wanted to stick with what their bread and butter was. So still looking at it, and that was just local people.
You really don't know unless you take a bid on
Well, but again, the other thing is
It'd have
bid
to-
is,
It'd have to be a specific mile so they could look at it.
yeah,
Well, that's what I
and-
mean.
Because it's gonna take different valleys, different grounds.
it.
Exactly.
4 miles of this location.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying is, as far as that, you know, we have to establish, okay, what size of ditch do we want, which way do we want the water to drain and all that stuff. So you have to draw that up, or, like we talked about, was doing it by the hour and basically just being out there with them, said, I want this and this and this. But again, it comes down to the fact is that they're gonna wanna do as much as they can if they move in, as compared to doing a mile or two at a time. But that was just the big thing, was that they say, even for a contractor, it's very tough for them to look at a bid and come up with a, you know, reasonable price. And again, unless we specify when it's done, they may say, well, we'll do it in November, December, or whatever else as well, so.
It's just,
Alright.
you know, with the crew that we have now, you know, you're gonna have to basically say, this is what our emphasis are.
Yeah,
We
well-
can't do a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, we've got X amount of people and resources, so where do we stick with paved roads or rock or dirt, and, you know, so.
All right.
Anyway.
Thank you, Bryce.
All right, thanks.
I was gonna ask one other thing. When was that? 3-4 months ago, you asked Bryce to get a bid on a mini excavator?
Yeah, did you get that?
We didn't, and that was simply because Chase County got one. And so I talked to Tom and I said, you know, because he's not using it all the time, I said maybe we could share that piece of equipment or something. You know, we're still in the same situation to where it's gonna be setting more than anything else, so we've just kinda, especially with the equipment fund being like it is, we've kinda held off on that.
I think it did come back up here, and I remember asking, do you have anybody that can run that 24/7? Or
Yeah.
Always,
All the time.
and he said no, and so we said, well, there's no point in looking.
Yeah, and if we had somebody, it's just like, you know, one other piece of equipment when we need it, we
I think most of the blade men could learn how to use it real quick.
Yeah, but if it doesn't stay in operation all
Well,
the time, I don't know that we really need it.
well, I think you might have to have a dedicated operator. All you're doing is cleaning a ditch, trimming culverts, you'd have a dedicated operator.
Well, and that's the bad part about a mini X and doing that is it just takes so long to get from point A to point B.
No, I just took on one of those little dump trailers on the back of the pickup and take off.
Can't do that. Have to have a CDL.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Bryce.
Yep, thanks.
Yep.
Oh, one more thing.
What next?
Road and Bridge. Last week or week before, you brought in what you've done and stuff like
Mhm.
that. What I've missed for the last probably 4 or 5 years, sitting here, Bryce, is it's all right. You've said what we've done, but could we not have a map just marking what you've done? What the road and bridge has done in our county? I mean, that's been brought to us before.
Right.
And I just
Well-
wondered why we I haven't seen it since you've been here and even before you. And it's very, very neat to see a red line in the middle of in a section or two that we know that road has been redone, whether it's in our area or
Right.
their area or whose ever. So,
Right. Well,
yeah.
yeah, as far as road rebuilds or structure or something like that, I can give you that. Most of the other stuff is basically just rock delivery and things like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've talked about before, we haven't done near as much as we wanted to as far as the rebuilds, but yeah,
But I mean, even on the rock rebuilds, if you've done a whole stretch of them, all this rock rebuilding we've done, it'd be nice to see what
yeah.
we've done.
Well, like I said, this last year we didn't.
I didn't know whether some of your secretaries could do that or.
Oh, not that, yeah, it's not that big a deal. I mean,
Okay.
we can do that fairly quick. We just don't have a lot to show.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Bryce.
Hey, you bladed
Marcy?
that 140th
Bryce.
this morning?
Do what?
You bladed 140th this morning?
Yeah,
I had 2 flats.
talk to Dale.
I'm just telling you right now.
After your greeting to me this morning, by golly, that's up to you. Huh?
Hi, Marcy.
Hello.
What do you have for us today?
Okay. gonna hand this out. St. Luke's Hospital has invited me to join their incident command team at a healthcare leadership for mass casualty incidents training.
Okay.
It is in Anniston, Alabama. I know normally we don't go to commission and tell you guys when we're going to training, we just go. This one, because it's for a week long, I figured I would come and get you, see what you guys think about it. As you know, Anniston, Alabama is, it's paid. It's, the federal government pays for you. So the flight down there, the lunch, the lodging, all of it's paid. St. Luke's is taking 4 people down. Mainly their incident command staff for a big healthcare incident. They've invited myself and Hillsborough Hospital to go along as well. When you go down and you participate as a group. They give you, they have the class, they give you different incidences and how would you respond. So you do it as your county. So Marion County would respond in this way. So that is information on what it is. The deadline to register for it is January 11th. It is from April 16th to April 22nd. And the deputy does start January 23rd, so I'd have plenty of time to get them up to date, running up to speed, before I would go anywhere in April. But because the deadline's coming up pretty quick, I wanted to see. And I do have the email from St. Luke's on it if you wanted to see that as well, but I thought at least I'd give you the class information. So.
Good. I appreciate bringing it to us. That's great. But a comment you made needs to be addressed by the commission. We ain't been told by any of our department heads when they're not going to meetings and things. And that's not the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is then they advise us that we're going and stuff like that. So,
okay.
But some department heads, some elected heads don't bother to tell us that. So we need to update it. But no, this is great to find out.
Okay.
You know, this is a great deal. But it don't do no good if you just go and they don't go. Then they don't know what's going on. So
Exactly.
So I'm just saying that if we vote on this, or my feeling would be that if they go send them. I mean,
Now, before
it's a
you
team.
vote, I waited for them to sign up first before I asked you.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So,
Okay.
I apologize, I
Oh, you said that.
didn't want to bring it to you until they're
Right.
going.
Okay.
So, yes,
Didn't wanna
that's
go by
why,
himself.
Right.
that's why there's kind of a faster turnaround, because St. Luke notified me that all 4 of them have signed up, so.
Well, that helps, that adds to weight, that answers
Yeah,
that question.
I thought that might
Emergency
affect it,
preparedness, that's a
so-
good quality.
And it's paid for.
Yeah.
So it's really not many purse strings to be
No,
tugging.
we're just paying for her time, which,
And also, we got a new person here that needs to be sniffed up and stuff like that. So it's a good thing, but whether there needs to be some more communication like that.
Training
with
you're
all
not gonna
departments.
get anywhere else.
Yes, yes.
And it's neat that you're doing it together with other personnel that you work with.
And that's what this is designed to do. It's for a mass casualty incident. So it is designed to find out how your county handles it with working with the counties and the hospitals in the area and things like that. Our goal, when we're done with it, is to bring it back and then use it in what we call an ESF 8, which is our healthcare. We've started a group in 2023 of ESF 8, which is the health departments, the long-term cares, the hospitals, and myself. We're gonna be meeting quarterly, and so this is something that we're then gonna present to that group.
Other questions?
recommend that we send her.
Is that a motion?
Yes,
No.
give her
Motion.
approval to sign up.
I'll second.
Everybody's seconding. Motion by Commissioner Crowfoot, second by
And
Commissioner
also,
Balky.
we might pay for incidental expenses, personal things she might have. You know,
Meals or-
she turns it back in when she gets back.
It's all covered, transportation, meals, and
Yeah,
lodging is all
you're
covered.
gonna have to buy a $5 Coke in the airport. Or just stuff like
Oh,
that.
gotcha.
I still have the county credit card.
I mean, anything reasonable, you know.
Yes, sir.
When I take my employees, I give them $100, because I'm not always there to buy everything for them.
called per diem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you, before you make statements like that, maybe we look at the whole county and see what goes on.
Yeah, no, I have.
Yeah. All right, we have a
And I'll
motion-
be prepared before I leave, I promise.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you, that's all I have. Hi, boss.
See you later in your life.
No, I would never.
Well, Representative Hill, appreciate you being with us. We got your call this morning, had you on the agenda, and Jonah then reached out to Representative Owens.
Yeah.
So, don't mean to blindside you there.
Nope,
but,
but-
if that works to tag team together,
By all means.
it helps us out to make you both hear exactly what our issues here in Marion County, especially our elections clerk. I think she's gonna have a few things that she'd like to put in your ear, and our sheriff. We've got a really big issue that, in fact, I'd let you each make your opening comments, and then I would really like to turn it over to the sheriff first and then have.
Shoot, you bet.
You can come up in front of the mic.
Yeah, if you
We have-
would.
Oh, do I need
We
to?
have people online, so.
Right here?
Yeah.
Do I need to sit down?
Yeah, either way, whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm gonna,
You're
I'll make my
Okay.
opening remarks
Okay.
pretty short.
Okay.
But it is a real honor to represent part of Marion County. It's been one of our real pleasures getting to know people down this way and finding out what the issues are, you know, and I like Marion, I like this area, and so looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And my main purpose for being here is not so much to tell you what I'm gonna do or what I think, but to hear what you guys have to say, because that's what's really important. Just for reference, my committees are going to be essentially education oriented. I'm on the Education K-12 Budget Committee, and I'm on the K-12 Policy Committee, and then I'm also on a Veterans Affairs Committee. So those are the things that I'll be working with primarily, but of course we vote on everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, so thank you very much. I apologize for being really spur of the moment, but I've been wanting to get in and talk to you guys and visit with you, and I had an opening. Actually, I was supposed to go to Minnesota today, and they got 12 inches of snow up there. And I
This
said,
is a better alternative.
yeah, I really don't need to be in Minnesota too bad. So it's a lot better to be here.
Set off the
So
Christmas plans for the same reason. It was negative 56 up there, and I was negative 30. I said I need to watch the house and make sure the pipes don't freeze.
yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. So without any more ado, I'd just be glad to visit with you guys and hear what you got to say. And of course, if this guy's got something to say behind me, I know I'm in trouble.
Let the big guy talk first.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna get whooped.
Well, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Jonah, thanks for reaching out. I was glad that we were able to kind of make it work spur of the moment.
Yes.
You know, I love being able to be a representative for the state of Kansas. You know, it's an honor every day that I get to walk back into that building and be involved in the decisions that help move the state forward. And so I'm grateful for the invitation to be here and hear what's on the mind of our Marion County folks. I will be entering my 5th session, so this is my 3rd term. It's kind of hard to believe how fast time has gone, but here we go again, and time's going to fly all over again. I have been asked and accepted to serve as the chairman of the Corrections and Juvenile Justice Committee again. So I'll be focusing a lot on crime and punishment, what's going on in our juvenile justice system. Then I also sit on the Judiciary Committee, so anything to do with the courts, and finally appropriations. Been lucky enough to serve on that committee since I started. So having my thumb on the checkbook of the state of Kansas is pretty awesome responsibility and an honor to do so. So I look forward to hearing what's on your mind, hearing what's on Sheriff's mind. Chances are I'll be working directly on some of those things, and then I'm certainly happy to share some of the things that I know we'll be working on this year at your guys' request, and we'll take it from there. So thank you very much.
Thank you again for being here.
No, 100%, absolutely, anytime. And that's one thing I want to get across that you guys will hear from me. Jonah knows it, Kent knows it, I don't know the rest of you too well, but I'm an open book. I'm going to make sure you have my card, my cell phone number.
Good.
You text me, call me. If something comes up at midnight and I need your input, I'm liable to call you back. So just keep that in mind, because sometimes we work some late nights up there, but I appreciate it.
Very good. Well, again, I'm going to start with the sheriff. I'll allow you, because I believe that's all of us agree you've got one of the biggest issues that
Yeah.
this county has to tackle.
So, you're working in education and you have the checkbook, we need to talk.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, two things, for me, is mental health, first of all.
Mhm.
And the second thing is our schools and the safety of our schools. Now, I don't know if this has ever been tossed around up there in the big house, but,
Yeah, the big
what,
house.
yeah, the state house. We throw a lot of funding out there, but why aren't we trying to find some funding that would put an officer in the schools every day they open? I mean, we hear we're already short-staffed. I can't hardly find anybody. I don't have people knocking down the doors, but I still have schools. I still have them full of kids. And I don't know why the state wouldn't help reach out to every entity within, every county and every school system and go, hey, we're gonna allot this much in our budget for the state of Kansas to help put a school resource officer in every school. Let's get ahead of something that's going to happen eventually somewhere in the state of Kansas again. So.
Yeah, I couldn't, and I don't mean to step on you, Representative Hill, but I couldn't agree with you more. As you are well aware, the quote-unquote anti-law enforcement sentiment of the last few years has been devastating to our law enforcement. It's been devastating to the recruitment. And it's put in some people's mouth kind of a bad taste of law enforcement, which is totally unfounded and absolute BS, and I've called it that many times. And so there's a lot of resistance, believe it or not, to this idea of putting law enforcement in schools. We recently added one in Heston, Heston High and Middle School now. Officer Frick works there with the Heston. And while there was more support than there was against it, I was really surprised at how many people came out against, if you will, putting law enforcement in the schools.
Yeah, even people that are fairly conservative on a lot of issues are afraid to put officers in the school. And I think one of the things we're really realizing in our schools that if we don't develop a respect for law enforcement at that age, how do we expect them to have any respect for law enforcement going forward? And so I think there's a twofold thing there. Number one, there's a protection issue, but there's also the issue of going, this guy isn't here to give me fits. He's here as my friend. And that's really a positive thing. And so that's something we can sure take a look at. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine who is a school resource officer, Shawnee Mission West. Kind of as a railroad detective, served with me for about 10 years. What's interesting, and I was speaking to him, was that there wasn't a lot of respect for him when he got there. But as he started working with the kids and they found out that he was a human being, passed his badge,
Absolutely.
it has paid dividends over and over and over. So I think it's our responsibility, the state's responsibility, to take that step and go ahead and step in there and then show them that what we're about. We're not about throwing everybody in jail. We're not about, just ruining everybody's lives. We're here to help them. I just think it's something that the state probably could, we're budgeting all this money for education. Why aren't we budgeting something for somebody else to help protect the people we're trying to educate that our future is?
Oh, you're 100% right, and education is definitely a challenging battle. I mean, that's better than 50% of our state general fund budget every year. And never is that hand not out asking for more. It is what it is, and to speak bluntly, they're a powerful lobbying force because no elected representative wants to be labeled anti-education.
Yeah.
The actual matter of fact, the very first speech I gave from the House floor in 2019 was speaking against this inflation adjustment from the Gannon lawsuit. It was $90 million was the inflation adjustment. Because if you think about what $90 million can do in the world of mental health, in the world of substance use treatment, in so many different areas of the state, but it barely a ripple in the bucket of K-12 funding. Unfortunately, weren't enough people to side with me on that one, and so be it. But we continue to try to figure out where that balance is, and totally agree. People really come to respect. I know my son is a senior at Heston High, has an enormous amount of respect for Officer Frick. My son-in-law is a police officer in Heston, so I get it, and I'll continue to do everything I can to support you guys, and we'll certainly bring those conversations up.
I appreciate it, I really do.
Let me talk about mental health for a second, if I
Yeah.
can. So, huge issue. I'm not sure if the committee's aware that the state last year appropriated, and those funds have been released to start the process of building a mental health hospital in South Central Kansas. That's a huge deal after years and years and years of fighting to make that happen. I, with many of you, don't feel like we need to grow government. However, we can certainly reallocate our resources, and mental health is one area where they absolutely need reallocated. So this isn't going to sound right, but the money is actually the easy part of that equation, right? Because we all know we have a budget surplus. And so the money's the easy part. The question is, how are we going to staff it? And that's what I'm going to be working on this year. I have reached out to the Kansas Independent Colleges Association, because the Board of Regents are apparently too big to want to help us tackle the problem of mental health care workers. And I have submitted for a proposal from them to say, okay, how can our small private colleges, our Tabors, Bethels, Hestons, how can they help us create programs that are going to incentivize people to go into the mental health field? Because we know that it's got to come from within. It's got to start at our colleges. So absolutely continue to work on that. And over the past couple of years, we've really increased a lot of funding. We've changed the Prairie View model to what's called I can't even remember the acronym. It's a CBMHCC, whatever. Again, just opens up more opportunity, more resources from the federal government as well. So mental health, top of mind, constantly, always will be, is something I'm incredibly passionate about.
So is that the new facility they're talking about building in Sedgwick County?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but that would serve all of kind of South Central Kansas is the goal.
okay. Because I guess where I see an issue there is, you know, we pay $60,000 to $90,000 a year to Prairie View now. You have a Sedgwick County who can afford to put $500,000 in the kitty. Who's going to have beds at that facility when it gets tight? I'm not, but I'm still going to pay appropriate according to taxes and population.
So the thing to remember here, though, is this is state funded. Sedgwick County is not paying a dime for this.
Now, I was told through Prairie View that the state was a $15 million allocation, and then Sedgwick County was also putting money into it so they could have some control over it.
Nope, not the case. As much as I thought that was the case, and this is why this was stopped last year. So in the appropriations, again, it's why I love being in appropriations. So they put forth and they said, we want $50 million. And we're like, well, show us a plan, right? Give us a plan of how this is gonna work. And at the time, they had no plan. Central County is working on a mental health kind of complex, if you will, that they're funding that piece of it. But the actual state hospital piece, they want no part of funding. They want no part of putting their money into. They're willing to help it get built with state money because it would be part of their complex and it's kind of a natural fit. But no, they're not putting any of their money into that facility. It will be no different than a Lardent or an Osawatomie and will be handled the same way.
Well, I hope it's handled differently because that is a train wreck.
The fact of the matter, well, again, it comes back to people, right? I don't know if
It's
you've
all
ever toured
staffing.
Larned.
Yeah.
You know, I went out and toured, and you'll have the chance to tour it too. I remember walking down one of their hallways in this perfectly nearly new building, fully furnished, ready to go. And I'm like, where are the people? We can't hire the people. And that's part of the problem with it being in Larned, Kansas, right? Only so many people want to live in Larned. Same thing with Osawatomie. Well, that's why Sedgwick County has got to be the start. It's got to be built in a way to where if we need to expand it, we can. I think the initial plans are a 60-bed facility, which is going to get filled up like that. But then that should also free up some of the beds from other areas. It should also really help the court process, because that's a huge part of this, right? Is the the sanity defense, if you will, making sure people go through that process of being found, mentally well enough to be held accountable for their actions. It should speed that process up a lot as well. But no, that 15 million was only literally just released less than a month ago because there was no plan, and now there is. And if it plays out, it'll be a fully functioning and funded state facility.
That would be great.
Now, I tried to have it in Halstead. We have an empty hospital in Halstead that would be absolutely perfect for it. But unfortunately, I think it was deemed that hospital was so old, dilapidated, it was better to start over.
You have a lot of unemployed people in Halstead.
We used to. Now it's been closed for better than 10 years now,
Yeah.
but it's still sitting there. actually went on the auction block and didn't get a single bid.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pick up those property taxes. So, but yeah, absolutely, top of mind. And if you ever have any ideas, you hear of anything going on, Sheriff, I'd love to have input, because it's one of those things that, you know, we all come together, and there's not a Republican or a Democrat out there that doesn't realize we have a problem. It's how do we fix it? And we've made real meaningful strides the last 4 years. I'm really proud of the things we've done with mental health as well as substance use treatment in the state. But we all know there's more to do, and that's where we rely on professionals, because we don't have all the answers, but we certainly want to move forward with things to make it better. So.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause the thing I ran into is over the holidays, not really us, but the county that Larned sets in. I don't remember what county that is.
Pawnee County.
Pawnee County. Anyway, he had a Larned Hospital employee was having a mental crisis.
I believe it.
And then they called the sheriff's office to come get that person to take care of them. And the sheriff, well, I had the conversation on a bunch of emails. I'm like, well, so what are you gonna do? Take him to the jail and then turn around and call? I don't know how they fixed it. I know he sat on the individual for 12 hours.
Which is not, as we well know, not the best place for those people.
Yes.
You guys aren't qualified for that.
Yeah.
But you guys end up being the de facto who deals with them, and I get it. We've got to have more facilities. And it was a failure of the state and the federal government. I mean, let's be real, back in the 80s and 90s, especially in the 90s, this state used to be the #1 leader in mental health services in the nation. With the Menninger Clinic, with the things that we had in store. But when the federal government started pushing down this, we need to send all of our folks with mental health issues back to their community. And then the state failed to allow the funding to continue to follow that down to the communities. This is a crisis that's been brought on by the federal government, by the state itself, and now we're trying to swim back upstream to fix it. I've shared this story with many people. I lost a little brother to suicide at 18. I almost lost a daughter to suicide when she was 19. I know how real these mental health issues are. I personally went through a mental health crisis about 12 years ago, and I think that, to get personal, but God had me go through that so I'd have a little more empathy and understanding as I was preparing to serve in this capacity. So I certainly do fight for these things and the things we need to do, because law enforcement shouldn't bear that responsibility.
Yeah, I just, it's a risky factor when we're not trained to handle that.
I know.
You know, and maybe it takes something that, you know, I've been in a lot of discussions with Prairie View here lately, and maybe somebody like Prairie View could team up with the county, and there would be not training of a law enforcement officer, but training of an individual who could be stationed at the sheriff's office to help respond with law enforcement in that scenario. I know Prairie View started, but they're pretty limited right now.
Yeah, people.
They've had some pretty good success with it. We're allowed to call that person, but then again, we're a county away. We were talking about this when we were meeting in Prairie View the other day, and they love the idea, but again, staffing and funding.
Yeah.
Two roadblocks.
One of the things that I found out, I was at a mental health roundtable with Sedgwick County, and come to find out our state hospitals actually have their kind of own certification process for a lower level of mental health care worker, right? So if you think about the nurses, for example, you've got CNA, CMA, phlebotomy. I mean, you work your way up. There's all these different steps with different scopes of practice. We need more of that in the mental health world, right? Because right now you almost have to be a master's level to accomplish anything. Some things at a bachelor's level, but there's nothing below that. We need something in the middle.
Absolutely.
And apparently our state hospitals have that, but it's just within the state hospital structure. And I'm like, well, let's explore what that looks like to bring it out. Is it something our community colleges could teach? What does that look like, and how do we create a mid-level mental health care worker that could maybe provide that very service?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's another conversation that we're working on trying to have. Again, just trying to think outside the proverbial box on how to solve these issues.
Go ahead.
Good. That's been a real crisis in
Yeah.
Marion County, and that's why I wanted the sheriff to speak first.
Happy
to
to.
that. He's a real good resource for both of you.
Absolutely.
Make sure you've got his number. All right. Another resource you need to get to know is Tina Spencer.
Oh, I know Tina.
Hi.
That's good. But I want Representative Hill to know that Tina is a very good resource for you, whether on any county clerk issues or any election official issues. So I'd like to give you a chance to discuss some of those, bring them to the issues to the forefront.
Well, really, I would just ask that you do reach out if you have questions or if there's something that's being presented, especially on taxation, for instance. For instance, the revenue neutral rate and property taxes, all those kind of issues, and as well as elections. I just ask that, I think that sometimes it feels on our end like there's things that are just passed for political reasons without really looking at what that causes then, or whether there's a problem that exists that needs to be fixed or not, or how do we even accomplish it. And so the logistic part of it is kind of where I sit. And so really just asking you to be thoughtful about those issues and ask questions, and I'm always glad to provide any information that
one of the things Tina
is
brings to
available.
us is the legislature may have a great idea, it sounds good, it looks good, but then you come to the point of implementing it.
Right.
Oh, it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
It's a train wreck. So it's good to reach out to Tina, can give you some of the inside workings of the impacts.
Yeah.
Well, and our statewide, we have a statewide
Mhm.
County Clerks and Election Officials Association, and we're more than happy to be involved in.
And you guys do a really
assisting.
good job in being involved and making your presence known at Topeka. I hope that you're gonna come see us again this year.
I think so, yeah.
And, you know, absolutely, I agree. The thing that I ask from all of you guys is sometimes the issues that are really important to you guys are one of a million things that
Right.
we're trying to balance. So
Yeah.
never, ever hesitate to reach out to us and make sure that it's at the, top of mind for us as well. A lot of times I don't, and this is kind of the way it works. You know, if it's gonna come to the floor for a vote, that's when I really get serious about it, because the vast majority of things, as you guys know, that get introduced are never even gonna make it that far.
Mhm.
But other things.
And a lot of
that
times
do-
when they do make it that far, it's sometimes suddenly, and
Oh,
you don't
absolutely.
have necessarily a lot of information. So occasionally, you know, I have reached out with, hey, this is a little bit troubling to us, you know?
Absolutely
And so I'll
do
do
that.
that, but I obviously understand too, kind of what you're faced with and how.
Well, I've called my sheriff, my judges in the middle of the night, because we're working bills on the floor. And sometimes those go late night, right, as we're trying to get things wrapped up to get input. And so I appreciate your willingness to be that
Yeah.
level of a resource for us.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your office number just transfers to your home.
It
at
doesn't,
midnight.
but I will give you my cell phone number.
Okay. That would be
100%,
fantastic.
yes.
That's news to me, because I thought it was one and the same.
I didn't-
That's exactly
Whenever
right.
whenever I call it, she picks up.
Oh,
so.
that's awesome. This has
Yeah,
my
I
cell
do.
phone number,
Okay,
so
thank
feel free, and I may even have it already.
Yeah, let me
So-
just get that, I'll get my
Yeah, that'd be
card
great.
and put that on there for you, and, again, I just wanna be available
Absolutely.
to help in any
All right.
way that I can.
Good resource for you. Okay, now commission, we'll roll into commission and start this way around. So we'll start with Commissioner Balky.
Okay, Commissioner Owens, not Commissioner, but state, whatever.
Stephen works with me.
Stephen, okay. Thank you for getting on CDDO meeting here a week and a half ago, while he's driving, appreciate it very much. We started that with Harvey County quite a few years ago, and when I was first got into commissioner. But anyway, appreciate that.
Certainly.
Something that faces us small counties here is, you see our building, we're proud of it and stuff like this. We had a jail that set back right in this corner right behind us over here that was built in the 60s, but it was soon overloaded, and we had to expand. And so we come to and you see what we have now we built it just for this guy here. But anyway, the other sheriff, Rob Kraft, he helped us get the other one with the first sheriff, Lee Becker, years ago, helped get that one built. But we used a tax deal in our county, that sales tax. It still had to be voted on.
Mm-hmm.
We went up to 1/2 cent, was our limit. Tina and I, after we did that one, it started out to be a 12-year, I think, and we paid it off in 8 years or something close to that numbers.
We
with
definitely
tax.
paid it off.
Way early
Way
with
early,
sales
yeah.
tax. Very, to me, I mean, there's some cities that don't like that way, but it didn't put it on the tax rolls of our people. It put it on sales tax. Everybody, when you bought that $5 can of pop, why, it helped pay for that kind of stuff. Well, so then Tina and I, when we went back to look at building another building, we went up and testified, and then when it got passed, it was put in as an or something.
There was like a one word that
One
kind of
word
limited us.
in it that we couldn't use it again to fit our needs to have the public vote on it. I don't know the statute number, I don't remember it because it's been a while, but it was very helpful that if this commission then decided to use it, it was there.
All right.
And then our public got to vote, and when we went to the first time, we tried building a 72-bed facility because we went to pony school out in Colorado for jails. And then we come back, but the naysayers of this jail over here come back and helped us and was very outright. They said, we don't want you to go to try to do for everybody else, just take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sales tax passed the second time, paid off early, and I think we right now, every department comes in here and wants more space, as you hear probably all over for these kind of counties. This has been here since
1906.
1906. So here we are looking for another building, and we're doing just what you was talking about, taking a look, go look at the old hospital over here, go look at this and that. Then you spend a lot more money than putting up new.
Sometimes.
And then sometimes, not all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
it just
absolutely.
depends. And so that would be a great tool that if you get a chance to come across that in somebody puts it up on the floor, please take a look at it. Think of us small counties that can use something like that. At least we get to put it to the taxpayers. If they don't vote for it, we don't get to do it. And that's a priority.
So it's
of mine.
essentially a local option sales tax
Yes,
is what
yeah,
it is?
basically, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, yeah, for
And
something.
is it strictly for facilities or?
No, there's a few other things on that ordinance or state statute, and I don't have, it's been a long
Okay.
time since I looked at it, but,
Okay.
but it was, our county was put on there, there was a number of counties on there, if I'm not right, Tina?
Sure, yeah, there are a lot of counties under that sales tax that have specific kind of.
Yeah.
Is there a
so-
limit on it? Did you say a 0.5%? Is that?
I
the
think our limit was, I think that bill was a half
Okay.
cent.
Okay.
And
It
so,
was a wording that threw that out.
yeah,
Hmm.
It should have been and we had or.
Yeah.
That was the whole
Okay.
crux
That was
of
the whole
it. We
thing.
couldn't use it, we couldn't use it
I
again.
think we had or no and, so we had to have both items.
yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
while, so.
I remember this
Yeah.
coming up, so.
Right.
It was a
We
head shaker, put
There
it
has
that way.
not been
I know what it was, what we wanted to do with it. We wanted to take that bill and use it for a new transfer station. That's what we wanted, that's what we wanted to use
That's
it
what we
for.
were looking at it.
And so then we put it ourselves for a new transfer station, and so to get rid of our trash. But I'm quite sure it would have passed if we could have put it over there on this sales tax.
Well, if that's something we need to look at, and I don't know how involved you guys are with Kansas Counties Association. I assume you guys are part of that organization. I would definitely have them take a look at that and see if it's as simple as some kind of a technical fix that needs to occur. I was just on the phone with Chairman Adam Smith, who's the chair of Tax Committee. And yeah, if it's just a simple technical fix, maybe that's something that we could do pretty easy.
Cool.
But I would definitely have the
Okay.
KCA, take a look at that for you, so then we know specifically
Right.
what needs to be addressed, and have them reach out to Representative Hill and I.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Sir.
Commissioner Crowfoot?
One thing I got is phone calls I get every hour that are people soliciting.
Oh, my God.
They want money?
You got 38 car warranties now, and,
We're selling barrier plots and home warranty and
that's
it
right.
changed. I'm in sales, so I really have to answer a phone because it might be somebody wanting to buy something from me.
Sure.
So it's a time waster, but that's probably not your guys' area.
Well, I can only share that I remember a couple of years ago, we passed the law that created the no-call list.
Yeah,
But
okay.
here's what's happening now, right? So there's a federal no-call list, there's a state no-call list. The problem is all those calls are originating out of the country, and they're done over the internet. So there's no way to track back to who's doing it or to hold them
But
accountable.
why can't it say what town it's really from?
Yeah,
Because
so
they're
that's,
using a VPN.
that's exactly it. They're using a VPN, which routes it through another city, and then they're using what's called a spoof number.
Yeah.
So then they can make it look, it's all out of the country
All over the neighborhood,
technology.
Yep.
And it's one of those things, I know our Attorney General has
Why
tried
can't
to.
you make it illegal?
Well, we have made it
It is
illegal,
illegal.
but in other countries, we can't enforce our laws on other countries. That's the big challenge, is these things originate in, Nigeria or Zimbabwe or something like that, and,
You're okay.
okay, and something like that, and then even if they could track down who it was after it was being routed through multiple VPNs, crime and punishment, and like our federal government really wants to go after white collar crime like that.
I've only cut 7 so far today.
No, is that all?
It's kind of slowed down.
You know what's scary about that, Dave, is that they are making enough off of doing that they continue to do it.
I know that.
And
That
so,
is scary.
there's that many people out there that are getting billed.
Yeah.
But it's taken away from my selling time.
That's right. And people that don't want to answer your phone call when you call them.
We also don't have any money left to buy anything.
You need to get one of those VPNs too.
There you go.
Well, I think I'm fortunate. I know both Scott and Steve pretty well, and feel like that we have two gentlemen there that will correspond with you.
Absolutely.
More than I can say for those that serve in Washington DC. Anyway, you fellas are our eyes and ears. I know you serve more than just Marion County, but if there's some legislation comes up or something that you feel like could be an asset for us, that you would communicate with us through, just through whoever you would contact. I think that would be a big benefit to us, because, we can't keep track of everything that's going through Topeka. The one thing I would ask is that, since I've been on the commission, we've faced some unfunded mandates. I'm not saying it's just state, sometimes it's federal, but unfunded mandates cause us a lot of grief.
Totally understand.
So, but I would say that overall, I feel like we're blessed to have both you guys, and keep corresponding with us.
Absolutely.
I know
Certainly
Scott's
will.
made himself widely available. Steve's they've both been at a lot of things that I think has been going to benefit us as a county. So,
Absolutely.
good luck.
Yeah.
And let us know if we need to start wearing body armor when we come down here.
Well, you can just go to the jail. He'll give you some.
There you go.
We'll issue to you at the county line.
Give you the livestock agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here we go, corruption is fast.
Yeah. No, I appreciate everything. I really value the time I've spent with Stephen. Just informs me of everything I need to know. At that level, I've got my own personal things on my business level where I'd like to see some things, but that's not the place here. The other thing here would be, I know the Board of Regents could be difficult, but the technical college in the county would be huge for us. Our economic development would really benefit from that, because at that point, we brought high speed into certain parts of the county. That gives us an alternative to have people that would work from home come back home where they know everybody already. The other piece of that puzzle is a technical, because then that keeps our kids from leaving, in which we know hardly any of them will return. If we could grasp that somehow, if we could figure out some sort of funding and take that next level education and fill those skilled roles that we can't fill. Right now, to find a plumber, good luck. It's so.
Where do your kids go for the CTE program?
Yeah.
Like Hillsborough High School, where do they go? So, for example, my son at Heston goes to Newton, where he's becoming a certified welder. He'll graduate in 6 months with more jobs than he knows what to do.
Hutch JUCO has a class
And
at the old creamery there in Hillsborough.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think Butler has a tie.
Okay, so there's some of that.
There is some. It's just I mean, it's very specialized. And we need-
How hard is it for a public school to start a technical program? Do you know?
Most of them do it in conjunction with one of the community colleges,
Right.
just so they get that community college certification when they're done.
Yeah, because the kids are wanting, they're wanting that certification. If, like, you're gonna be a welder, you don't wanna just be a welder from a school shop, you wanna be a welder
Right.
from, and I think they do something with, is it Butler, you said, here?
Here's Butler.
Butler offers
There's-
classes. I don't
Yeah.
know that they offer a lot of technical
It's
stuff.
more adult classes that,
Yeah,
if I wanted
really.
They
to,
just
wanted to better
regular
myself,
college
you know.
classes that they offer.
But I think you're talking about something that's really, really important right now, because, we've kind of gone through, kind of like we went through the phase with mental health, we've kind of gone through a phase with education that.
Push college on
Get a
everybody.
college degree and you'll get a good job,
And they left nothing
and
else.
I had the experience of going through grad school when I was 50 years old, 49 years old, I started into grad school, and great experience. But there's a bunch of these 20-something kids that are getting master's degrees because they went through and got their bachelor's degree and they found out they couldn't get a job. And so now somebody convinced them if they just accumulate a few thousand more dollars of debt and go to grad school, that they could get a job. And then they get their master's degree and they realized they were still in the market at 35,000 or something like that. And so the point is, your son is a welder, can come out next year, have a guaranteed job, and be getting $20+ an hour starting out. A plumber, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to find a plumber, but it is absolutely, we have a building over in Missouri that we had a toilet backed up, and I couldn't get there, so I'm calling around to see if anybody could come unplug a toilet. And it was about a month out for any plumber I talked to. Electricians are exactly the same way. We really need kids with technical skills. And it's important for educators to start to realize that the model they've been pushing for the last 20 years is not necessarily the model we need right now. So really a good point about the technical college, and of course we work with the State Board of Education some, and which they control technical schools yet.
Yeah, and when you see that map, you'll see that Marion County isn't owned by any of the technical colleges.
Really?
It's an island. It's an open concept,
That
and that's
should
the
be-
reason why I'm driving this.
Okay.
Because Flint Hills doesn't have it, and I'm pretty good friends. I'm on a few advisory boards for some tech colleges. Yeah, it is covered by community colleges, but not the
Not
technical college
technical,
map.
Yeah, the
Doesn't-
community colleges are under the Board of Regents, and the technical colleges are still under.
I've got to figure out, because I thought, just based on your proximity to El Dorado, you guys should kind of fall under that, but
That we could definitely reach out to those folks.
If we could get a Marion County Technical College, that'd be great.
It is huge, and it's one of those things where then it's on our principals and our counselors to make sure the kids know about those options.
Yep.
So my son, like I said, he'll graduate certified in MIG, TIG, and stick welding. Things lined up, but they didn't bring him that option. He knew about it and he went and sought it out. So I talked to the principal, I'm like, why aren't we taking every one of these kids through a field trip so they know about all of these options? And he's like, oh, that's a good idea.
That's exactly.
Once
what
in a
I
while
think
I
all of
have
our
one.
school counselors have always been geared
Yeah, they have.
toward
They have,
secondary,
Yep.
college education.
yeah.
And it's just changed that much.
And our region universities now are feeling it, right? Declining enrollment in every region university except for Wichita State. And why is that? Because they have a technical college.
Right.
And they've been innovating, and it's been remarkable what
And they
they've
have
done
that
in Wichita
innovation
State.
campus
That's
where you
exactly
can
right.
do an internship.
And instead, we have our KUs and
I haven't
K-States
ran
that
into
just come back.
K-State who's not now had a roommate for a year.
Yeah. Their enrollment's
Right,
down.
in the dorm.
And it's gonna continue to go down,
It is,
right?
it
Because
is, yeah.
people are having less kids. And now we wanna move some of them to the technical trades. And so this is one of my pet peeves, is I've been pushing our region university, you've gotta reinvent yourself. You've gotta figure out how to do the same thing Wichita State's doing. They had a 3.2% increase in their enrollment. You've gotta figure that out, because you coming back to the taxpayer is absolutely the wrong answer. We spend over $30,000 per student per year in our region universities to educate, and that's what the state is spending.
And then you're gonna spend it on top.
That's right. When then parents pay, right, and then kids pay, but then when you compare that to what like your Tabor does here, how they receive like 1%. I mean, they receive nothing from the state.
Nothing.
Kids are much more likely to stay local when they go to a private school. I mean, I'm a Bethel grad, so I'm pretty high on that private institution. But I was one of those kids, went and got my master's degree right after, and my wife and I were so buried in student loans that it took us 17 years to pay off that 6-figure debt from 12 years of private education. But you know what? It's my responsibility. I never once thought that I should turn to the government to help solve that problem.
a while.
I guess.
Forgiven, yeah.
Apparently so.
It doesn't count.
Yeah,
They don't give you a refund. If
That's what I was
you're the good
thinking.
guy, you don't.
I want a refund, dang it. Anyway, no, good point.
Yeah. Well, you can take some of that money that they're gonna give the 87,000 IRS agents and those guns. You can take all that, put it into resource for schools.
Yeah.
And
Novel
help me out with a
concept.
tech college and we'll train them here.
I like it. I like it. Let's do it. I've got a lot of phone numbers, but I don't have his phone number. I'm just saying.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
you guys taking the time out of your day to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for reaching out to me and letting me know that you guys had some time set aside. I was
Did
really
not
glad.
expect you to put it together that quick.
I was on my way back from Wichita, and I was gonna go back, because I've gotta get my committee agenda organized for next week. And I was like, 2 o'clock, I have that set to work on my committee. Screw it. I'll do that. I'll come here.
Yeah, an example of flexibility.
That's exactly
Legislature
right.
started, so he just barely made it.
That's right, it's perfect.
Well, I think between the sheriff and our county clerk and commission, we'll probably hit the top 5 or 6. I just want to hit one a little lower, but it's important to me, and I think it's important to the county, is we're still struggling, obviously, with roads and infrastructure, roads, bridges, and infrastructure. There's money out there. We're actively pursuing as many grants and cost-sharing opportunities as we can. We've had some good advice from the sitting commissioner that we not go for, we want the state to pay 90%, and we'll kick in 10%. But no, we want to participate at an equal, or we want to put in our share. We're not asking for the state or federal government to pay for it. But any opportunities that come up, we're trying to pursue those to help build our infrastructure, because obviously the increasing traffic, the demands, the equipment, the load by farmers, which I'm one, are taxing the roads that were built in the 1900s. So I'm going to be reaching out to you to help with letters of support on some of those, because we are going to aggressively pursue funding opportunities, and I think they're legitimate funding opportunities for our county. And anything that we can help in building a long-lasting, good road is going to take the pressure off of us, that we can then attack the rest of our road network in the county. So I guess that's the one I'm going to reach out for.
Yeah,
Again, it's not the top 5 that you've heard, but it's one that's still very important to our economic development, to our safety of our citizens. You go on down the list, but good roads.
One of the things that we struggle with is we got to compete for grants with the urban counties. They've got staff that's doing that every day.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a really good grant writer
But we're
without training one in-house.
One of the things we found is letters of support do carry a lot of weight.
Absolutely.
From the grassroots, from our local people, but also from people of influence. So I'm going to be reaching out.
And I'm more than happy to do that. That's one of the easier things we get to do. And one of the other things that I would offer any of you guys is, if there's somebody that you need to meet or somebody you need to talk to, utilize us as a resource. I mean, we accumulate these connections, right? We all know we're adults, that it's all about who you know and the connections you make. And getting you guys in front of the people that you want to meet with or talk to is something we can absolutely help facilitate.
Excellent.
What's your status on the, I can't say his name right now, from Pilsen, the
Father Capon.
Capon, yeah. What's your status on that road? Is there
Okay.
I've heard a little bit about that. off
Yes,
and
and
on.
that's one we can get into more detail later, but just in a quick nutshell. It's 14 miles of road. When we approached the secretary, I think we were looking at total project maybe around $4 million. Of course, now costs have gone up. We're looking at probably $7 to $8 million total. The Department of Transportation has recommended we split it up because they cap at $1 million for small rural projects.
Okay.
So we've applied, I think, 4 different times. We've got one for 1/3 of the project.
4.5
Okay.
miles.
For 4.5 miles, so we've got a third of it covered. Again, we're splitting the cost, about
Mhm.
50-50 on it. We're in the process of putting in high-risk rural roads for the west 1/3 of it. And then, that's the one I'm gonna be reaching out for you here pretty quick.
Perfect.
For letters of support, because it is designated high-risk rural roads. We're gonna
Okay.
try to tap into that fund. And then the middle section, we're either gonna try the regular cost share program again, or maybe coming back to the economic development.
Okay.
But it had to be, since there's all $1 million caps on each of those,
Mhm.
we're trying to.
Where does that road go? Is that,
From
is it north,
15 to
south?
77. It's
Okay.
east-west.
We call it the Durham Lincoln.
We call it Durham Lincolnville Road, but it's
No,
290.
Okay.
he's talking about, you're
Yeah.
talking about another road.
You're talking about
about
Remington
Remington.
Road, Pilsen.
Okay, Remington.
Well, I'm not sure which one I'm talking
Well,
about,
this- the
honestly.
one we put in the
one
caution
that-
is
yeah,
supposed to
the
be-
pilgrims that are out there
Yes.
It
wading
goes
in
to
the mud.
Remington
Yes.
from
That's the Pilsen
77.
Road.
Yes,
That's
that's Remington's
290.
scheduled for a microsurface next year.
Okay,
Not the complete rebuild, but
okay.
it's, I don't wanna say, it's not in as critical a condition as the other one.
Okay.
That's the road from Wichita.
Yeah, the route from Wichita,
Okay,
which
yeah.
most of the.
That's
most
what
of
you,
the-
Because you get a lot of people up here on that whole deal.
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But our focus has been on the east-west road,
Okay.
290 is between 15 and 77, because it's the one that needs full depth rebuild on it.
Okay.
And then that stretch of 4.5 goes from 77, well.
To
is that
Remington.
To Remington.
Yes.
To where you can turn south to go to.
But I haven't been to the city of Remington yet.
No,
it's a road.
no, it's the road that takes you to Pilsen.
Yeah, I'll get you information. on
Okay,
it.
thank you,
But
thanks.
if we could sit down sometime, we can have one down.
It was, I think we got $1 million on that 4.5.
Yes.
And we're paying 1.5.
1.1.
Is that, okay.
1.1.
Okay.
Hey, while I'm here, I just thought of this, if I could get some kind of a waiver from the 5-mile-an-hour rule on Marion County Lake, you know, for us out of towners.
Well, I've brought this up before. I've brought this up before because I've got a buddy that lives out of the county that I use his boat, and I can't get over that 5 mile. And I'm like, can't we rewrite this?
Or just let me pay an annual permit fee or something? No, I love County Lake. That's mine and my son's favorite lake to fish. We fished it for dozens of years, and I absolutely love you guys' County Lake. It's my favorite.
Now there's a state legislation fee for it. Look at that.
That's what the 5 mile an hour is up for, is for you fishermen.
It started out as a fishing lake.
You got it. You figured it out.
Any fish that can run faster than 5 miles an hour, you don't want to catch anyway.
Well, again, as Jonah said, we appreciate you coming. I know it was short notice, but
Worked out great.
for our schedule, it worked out perfect in this time slot.
Okay.
I feel it was very productive. There were lots of very, very good comments, and I hope you keep cultivating those contacts.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I just want to make sure, I know a few of you guys have my card, but if not, you've got it. I know you've got me and you've got
I
me.
do not.
So there you go.
I got you on.
I got my speed dial.
I haven't got them yet. They're still no, you know, that's the thing about being a rookie, you know.
He's gonna get all of his goodies
I've
here
got,
next
I've got
week.
campaign cards, but I'll wait and I'll bring back, they'll give me an excuse to come see you.
There you go.
That's the-
Just so your office isn't in the basement.
It is not in the basement.
Well, very good.
Where'd they put you?
I'm on the first floor.
On the first floor, okay.
Actually, I got a really nice office,
Nice.
166.
Nice.
It's a nice
Good for you.
office.
We don't even get an office.
Well,
So
it's a-
even if you get it in the basement, it's better than what we get.
Now, if you're an independent by the name of Dennis Pyle in the
Yeah,
Senate,
I think there's.
he's in the basement.
Yeah, special
and
area
has
down there.
no committee assignments,
No
by the way.
committee assignments.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He's gonna get it handed to him this year. It's
Oh.
not
That's
gonna be
nice.
pretty.
They'll bring him up for votes, and that's about it.
That's about it. That's exactly right.
right.
There's already people lined up to run against that.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all, Scott. Have a great day.
Sheriff, let me know what I can do for you, man.
Where
Stay
are
in
you
touch.
guys, where are you at in the county?
Oh, I'm Peabody,
Peabody?
South
Okay.
section.
Marion,
Marion? Okay.
You know where I'm at?
Yeah, I know where you're at.
I'm Hillsborough on west side and then Gossip.
Okay.
And I'm Tampa, I'm closer to Abilene.
Yeah, you're up in our neck of the woods,
Yes,
aren't you?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'd like to show you some success stories.
You know, Tampa's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got some success stories.
Tampa's pretty cool, yeah.
So-
There's a man that's devoted a lot of time to
I
Tampa.
appreciate that. 'Cause
he is
have-
Tampa.
You ever go?
He put
I've
Tampa
been
back
up there
together.
There's, you have a restaurant in Tampa, you have a community center in Tampa.
I got a grocery store.
And
a
Dave,
grocery
and
store.
Dave owns them all.
Yeah.
There you go.
But the best story on Dave was he sat in here about 12, 14, 15 years ago, sitting there bringing in a bucket, sat right on our desk, of blacktop chunks, and wanted us the road fixed.
Well,
Just
He finally-
remember, Tampa went for 3 years with no paved roads. The county tore them all up
to rebuild.
to rebuild them for
Yeah.
2 years. There was not a paved road into Tampa.
Yeah.
And once they did invest in that expensive road, which you keep reminding me about, that I came to rally the residents because it's a high, the semi-traffic
Yeah.
from our grain elevator all goes out that one road. It'd be the
Let me guess, you own
highest
the grain
weight,
elevator, too.
highest weight road in the county.
Okay.
But they spent the 2-year budget for roads on that 4-mile stretch. But since that time, there's been close to $10 million investment in Tampa.
10-year payment plan.
Yeah, but we got a 0 interest loan from the state.
But he's here now.
That's right, that's exactly it.
Yeah, wasn't my idea
Yeah, that's
either.
exactly right. You get involved, well, you're gonna get involved.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, certainly appreciate it, and especially short notice.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Thank you.
Scott, nice seeing you again. These people got a shout.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, Tina, you had an executive session.
Yeah, just 5 minutes for
Put this revolving
personnel
door thing down here.
performance.
You guys arrest people in the judicial
All right, I
system
move that
kicks
we
them
recess
out.
the executive session in order to discuss
That's
personnel
what we need to
performance
do.
pursuant to KSA
If you guys are gonna work of doing your homework and getting them in there,
personnel matters,
they
not
need to be
elected
off the
personnel
street.
performance.
But
Commission
I
and
appreciate what
5
you guys
minutes,
do.
Thank you.
2:50 to 2:55.
Second.
Second, Mary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. We'll be back at 2:55.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah, still got this camera here. Too many buttons to
I said
push.
you'd be out early, Dave, but it's still gonna be close to 3:50.
Oh my goodness. Let's see.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions made.
I make a motion to approve carryover vacation 30 days past annual
Anniversary.
for Ashley Herpick, 31.5 hours, and Sherry Miller for 37.5 hours.
Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, that's, I believe that was all I have for today. Administrative and,
All right, if you believe business concluded, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned.
18 years ago for the city of Peabody, I bought